Okay, as I showed you in the previous video, I sectioned this back half of this quarter panel to make up for the gap or the length from the tail panel to the filler so that the deck lid fit correctly or better. I've got most of the welding done and blending done on that section there. I did make a little filler piece for down here. Still a little blending to do, just a little bit more welding down here. No big deal. So I'm going to attach the tail panel now. I'm much happier with the way it's fitting. Of course, I'll clamp it in place. As you can see, the bolt holes are much better where the bumper mounts. Show you the other side. And those aren't welded in yet, but you can see the height is much better. I salvaged the filler pieces for the corners. These are the originals that were on the car. Of course, those will go right there. You can buy these. They're fairly cheap. They're not as good as the originals. If I had them, I'd probably use the cheap ones, but I have these originals and it took a little work to salvage them off, but that's okay. I also have the one from the driver's side. So you see this orange strap in here. It's under some tension. What I had to do, because I was concerned with the gap between the edge of the quarter and the deck lid, I couldn't hold it in place and weld it at the same time. So I attached the strap here to this top bolt hole or inner bolt hole where the extension will mount, and to the spare tire mount. I just put some tension on it and it'll hold that deck lid over as I attach or weld these locations for the tail panel. And then of course, once that's in place and the filler pieces are put in, this thing won't move. So hopefully I can get that taken care of here shortly. Alright gang, I just wanted to show you a little more on this these filler pieces. I just went by the old marks where they were attached to the old car. You can see there's some holes down there where I drilled it out. There were some along this edge here, and then here and here. Now I did drill the holes and prepped them and ground the metal smooth, so I don't have any paint in the way. Once I get both of these in place, and they're just clamped up for now, I'm going to also install this support and brace, which is used for the trunk latch. I've already kind of located it, and you can see I marked some holes. And one little tip for you here: whenever you do something like this, just draw a line where your match is, and that way, you know, you just come right back to it, put it in place, clamp it, and you're ready to go. Yeah, we'll be drilling a couple holes down there, 3 holes there, and 2 holes there, and that'll get this in place. And I'll also, before I actually do the final install on this, I will transfer the receiver part of the latch. Of course, that goes up here. You can see, you know how the trunk goes. That would go there normally. And it also has adjustments, and the replacement one does too. You can see there the bracket internally will slide back and forth, so you have a lot of room to play with this to get your adjustments right. But I'll get that in place, and other than doing some grinding and smoothing up and a few little detail things like folding these pieces up into place on the corners, finishing the overlap. It's kind of hard to see here on the corner brace, overlap that over. Other than that, that'll just about finish up the back of the car, and then I'll move on and get started on the front. And just as a teaser, I'll show you, of course I got to get back to the cowl, I know that, but this will be the next step in the repair process, I believe, is getting this frame fixed. So stay tuned. Hope you're enjoying the vids, and we'll keep moving. And one final look at the back of the car. Of course, you've been following along, so you know what I've been doing to it. I finished welding in the tail panel. I did some more welding up here on the quarter where it meets the roof panel, and of course I've been blending these welds down, and you can see down in here I've been blending on the where the wheelhouse meets the quarter and where the wheelhouse met the floor pan. So all that's blended. Of course, they get treated with self-etch and then a little bit of spot filler on top of it. Here's the bottom of that quarter panel where I had done some custom work to make it fit. Did get the filler pieces welded into the corners here, blended those down so those look good. Hammered over these little pieces of metal here on the ends, and these up in the corner I actually put a little bit of weld up here just to stiffen them up a little more, and I'll blended that down a little bit. Other than that, I still have blending of welds to do on the passenger side in the wheelhouse area up here on where the quarter meets the roof line. But I did finish putting in the brace. You can see there's the welds there. And what I wanted to show you on this part was, here's my seam sealer. I did treat this with self-etch, let it get down in that crack good, and then I filled that with seam sealer because once this is in place, it's hard to get your hand back in there. So I did that early so that it's all sealed up and tight. Of course, it's welded in, blended, and I'll show you. Here's the trunk, latched, and there's the lines, pretty consistent all the way across both sides. Now there'll still be a little bit of adjusting that I'll have to do as I go along, but considering where it was and how things were fitting, I'm pretty happy with that tail panel. This will be the last video for the quarter and the tail panel, and then I'm going to move on to the front section like I showed. Probably take care of that frame rail, and just stay tuned. We'll get this thing done.